What is a socially mandatory thing that we all do, but if you actually stop to think about it for 5 seconds, it's completely insane? Interviews where you have to pretend your biggest weakness is working too hard, and the employer pretends they care about your growth more than their bottom line. It's a 30-minute professional fan fiction session. Yes, the expectation that everybody is lying just a little bit in interviews, and that there is a right amount of lying that is permissible. Claim to have led a project rather than just been a team member, and that's fine. As is inflating numbers, salaries, obfuscating resume gaps, all good. But why? Why is there a completely arbitrary amount of making stuff up that's not only acceptable, but encouraged? I had an interview that I was doing where I didn't really want the job. They asked me what my greatest weakness was, and I asked, am I really limited to just one? They looked really shocked, and I told them what my 2 biggest weaknesses were. They kinda didn't really know what to do with that. Then they offered me the job anyway. I'm still there, 9 years later. Go figure. My fastest interview ever went exactly like this. You look like a straightforward guy, so I'll shoot it straight. I need a job, you need people. I'll show up early, work hard, and you'll never have a problem with me. I can start tomorrow. You're hired. This probably doesn't work for every job, but it worked for my entry-level position at a food place a while back. Engagement rings and weddings. You can opt out and be married for the cost of the license. Came to say wedding culture and engagement party, bridal shower, bachelor or bachelorette party, rehearsal dinner. Like, how did we get here? And by extension, the gifts and contributions expected. Removing body hair. For women in particular, going out with hairy legs or dark facial hair is extremely scandalous. Strangers will literally photograph women with hairy legs and show it to their friends. Women have hair, but we all have to remove it or hide our bodies simply to obey the made-up fantasy that we are hairless. I don't shave my legs in winter season because the chance of someone seeing my legs besides my partner is literally 0.00000000000000001%. The one time I had to go to a doctor checkup that also required examining my leg's pulse, the lady gave me such a weird look after noticing my hairs. I wanted to sink into the ground and disappear. I just totally forgot they would be checking the pulse during the checkup. Job interviews where both sides role play like it's a corporate first date and nobody's allowed to say, I need money and you need labor. This might be something I quote in my next interview. Swimsuits. Generally, I think it's strange that people are deeply uncomfortable being seen in their underwear, but are totally fine wearing swimsuits that are as or more revealing than most underwear. When my niece was a toddler, she would call her swimsuit her sea bra and sea panties. Whatever the opposite of the Irish goodbye is. Why am I wasting time talking to people and having meaningful conversation in my coat and shoes with my car warming up for 20 minutes by your door? We could have done this hours ago when I came over. This is an Irish goodbye. Just leave. The one you hate is usually called a Midwest goodbye and can take hours. Shaking hands upon meeting or leaving someone. Edit. A few of you all keep explaining it, but I was already aware of its origins and its continued existence as a sign of social acceptance in many contexts. But as a gesture in a vacuum, which is how I read the prompt, if you actually stop to think about it for 5 seconds, it is odd. I grab your hand at the same time you grab mine, and the strength with which we do so, as well as the number of times we pump our hands up and down, is based on the particular context. Is this why people seem confused when I do a hello or goodbye twerk? At least my boss likes it. Hi, how are you? Good, thanks. You? Good, thanks. Let's begin. What's been on your mind? I hate everything and don't want to be on this planet anymore. I started to say that automatically the first time I met my psychiatrist. Then I stopped myself and said, actually, not good, or I wouldn't be here, would I? And he laughed. Social conventions when you're actively seeking help are so weird. I'm currently working at a place that has a lot of South Asian employees, and I've noticed many of them will just tell you how they're doing if you ask, hey, how's it going, in the morning. It's honestly kind of refreshing since it often leads to a conversation. The one I remember lately was being told, not good, but not bad either, just very average, which immediately reminded me of Chernobyl. I'm conflicted about asking my therapist how they are. I do it out of courtesy, but I'm paying an expensive amount for a scarce 45 minutes. If their reply is anything more than, good, thanks, it feels like it's taking time from the session, and therefore it's not an honest question I'm asking. All of us changing our clocks twice a year. What a terrible idea. For some reason, you're a jerk if you call people out for being rude or inappropriate. Musicians walking off the stage before the end of a gig, pretending they're done, waving to the crowd, and then coming back on for the last song or songs that everyone knew they were coming back on to play anyway. Responding to absolute asshole customers with anything more than a leave. Early morning starts for much of the working world. You can evade it by getting late shift jobs, but if you want to start at 10 or, God save us all, 11 a.m., the world thinks hell is too kind for you. Exactly. We do not live in an agriculture-based economy anymore. Why does everyone have to get up with the sun? Why are people that sleep in lazy, but people who go to bed early aren't? I'm the opposite, and frankly, the perceptual bias is completely unfair to the rest of you all. I get to work at 4:30 a.m. am seen as a dedicated go-getter. No jerks here, I just want to be left alone to work in peace and have my afternoon completely free to enjoy the day. Singing happy birthday to someone while they sit there in silence, staring at a cake with fire on it, surrounded by people making direct eye contact with them, and waiting. Every single time it's slightly uncomfortable for everyone, and we keep doing it. The fact that we live in a political democracy, but most of us spend the majority of our waking lives inside private, hierarchical microstates as employees of corporations, where we have no vote, no representation, and no real say in how power is exercised. Paid subscriptions for what used to be one-time purchases. Being expected to be reachable all the time because of phones. I'm very vocal about not being expected to answer right away with the people in my circle. I wish we all adopted this. Someone said in a bit or presentation or something once that stood out to me. My cell phone is for my convenience, nobody else's. Yup, first thing I tell people is, I was raised in the 90s. I'm not attached to my phone. Sometimes I forget it when I go out, and that's how I like it. The sheer amount of nationalistic nonsense that occurs prior to any sporting event. Waking up to an alarm just to go sit in traffic so you can sit in a building all day, then sit in traffic again to go home. We've all agreed this is normal somehow. I think it's stupid, but if you say so, you're labeled lazy and unrealistic. Clarification for the pedants in case they're coming for me. Of course, some jobs need to be done on site. But there's a lot of pointless commuting to offices just to show willing, when the jobs could be done from home. Working full-time for 45 or 50 years straight with no plans to stop until you drop. Asking how are you doing without actually wanting to know how the other person is doing. Thanks so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, hit the like button. It really helps. Subscribe for more and tap the bell so you don't miss the next one.